Imagine the tension of a ticking clock. You know something massive is about to happen. A revolution, a war, a total shift in the world order. But the person at the center of it isn't stockpiling weapons. He's attending a dinner party.
And not just any dinner party. It's a dinner that smells like a funeral.
Exactly. We are diving into day 307 of our journey, covering Mark chapter 11 and John chapter 12. This is the beginning of the end, the triumphal entry, the cleansing of the temple, and the final public teachings before the cross. But it feels like everyone is reading from a different script, doesn't it?
Completely. You have the crowds expecting a conquering hero, the religious leaders plotting an assassination, and Jesus. Well, Jesus is talking about dying seeds and donkeys. It's a clash of expectations that is honestly jarring.
Let's start with that dinner party in Bethany. We're in John 12. Lazarus is there, the guy who was dead just a chapter ago. And then Mary does something shocking. She breaks out this incredibly expensive ointment, pure nard, and pours it on Jesus' feet.
To put that in perspective, that perfume was worth 300 denarii. That is a year's wages for a laborer. Imagine someone taking a bottle of vintage wine worth $40,000 and just smashing it on the floor. That's the level of waste we're looking at here.
And Judas Iscariot immediately jumps on that, right? He plays the social justice card. Why wasn't this sold and given to the poor? It sounds reasonable on the surface.
It does, but the text gives us a look under the hood. Judas didn't care about the poor. He was helping himself to the treasury bag. But Jesus' defense of Mary is what really sets the tone for everything that follows. He says, "Leave her alone. She kept this for the day of my burial."
That sends a chill down your spine. Here they are, eating and celebrating Lazarus coming back to life, and Jesus is already marking himself for death. The fragrance filling that house isn't just perfume, it's the scent of the tomb.
Precisely. And that sets up the supreme irony of the next day. The crowd hears Jesus is coming to Jerusalem. They grab palm branches. They start shouting, "Hosanna!" which means, "Save us now." They are ready for a coronation. They want a king who kicks out the Romans.
But the king shows up on a young donkey.
Right. If you're a Roman general, you ride a war horse. It's high, it's intimidating, it screams power. A donkey? That's a beast of burden. It's a deliberate callback to the prophet Zechariah, a king coming in peace. He's dismantling their idea of power before he even opens his mouth.
It's almost like political satire. The crowd is screaming for a lion, and he gives them the lamb. But let's move to Mark 11, because the mood shifts drastically. Jesus enters Jerusalem, looks around, and then the next morning, he gets into a fight with a tree.
Laughs. The famous cursing of the fig tree. It's one of those moments where people think, is Jesus just hangry here? He sees a tree with leaves, finds no fruit, and curses it to wither. But you have to look at how Mark structures this. It's a sandwich.
A sandwich?
Yes. He starts with the fig tree, then goes into the temple to cleanse it, and then comes back to the withered tree. The tree is a living metaphor for the temple.
Oh, I see. So the tree had leaves, it looked healthy and promising from a distance, but it had no fruit.
Exactly. And then Jesus walks into the temple. It's bustling, it's loud, there's commerce, money changers, animals being sold. From the outside, it looks like a thriving religious hub. It has leaves. But is there fruit? Is there actual prayer? Is there justice? No. It's become a den of robbers.
That phrase, den of robbers, is intense. He's not just saying they are overcharging for doves. He's saying the place meant for meeting God has become a hideout for people who exploit others.
And he shuts it down. He physically stops the machinery of the temple. This is the moment the religious leaders decide he has to die. You can preach all you want, but when you mess with the money and the power structure, that's the final straw.
And then, on the way back out, the disciples see that fig tree is withered to the roots. The symbol is complete. The temple system, with all its pomp and noise, is dead at the root because it stopped producing the fruit of righteousness.
It's a warning against performative religion. You can have the best worship band, the biggest building, and the busiest calendar, plenty of leaves. But if there's no faith and forgiveness, it's just a withered tree waiting to fall.
Speaking of faith, Jesus pivots here to a lesson on prayer. He tells them if they have faith, they can move mountains, but he adds a caveat about forgiveness.
It's the check engine light for prayer, he says. When you stand praying, forgive. Because if you are holding on to bitterness while asking God to move mountains for you, you've missed the point of who God is. The power to move mountains is linked to the heart that forgives.
That's a tough pill to swallow. Now, I want to jump back to John 12, because something happens that triggers the final countdown. Some Greeks, outsiders, non-Jews, come to Philip and say, "Sir, we want to see Jesus."
This is the turning point. Up until now, Jesus has often said, "My time has not yet come." But the moment the Gentiles start seeking him, he looks at his disciples and says, "The hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified."
But his definition of glory is totally backward.
Completely. We think of glory as a stage, a spotlight, a crown. Jesus defines glory with agriculture. He says, "Unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit."
That is the core paradox of the Christian faith, isn't it? To live, you have to die. To keep your life, you have to lose it.
It's the anti-survival instinct. Human nature is to hoard, to protect, to build walls around our lives. Jesus says that if you do that, you end up like a single seed on a shelf. Safe, pristine, and absolutely useless. It's only by being buried, by giving yourself away in love and sacrifice, that life actually expands.
And he's not just giving them a philosophy lesson. He's talking about himself. He is the grain of wheat.
Yes, he is staring down the barrel of the cross. He even admits, "My soul is troubled." He's not a robot. He knows the pain that's coming. He asks, "Should I say, 'Father, save me from this hour?'" But he answers his own question. "No, for this purpose I came to this hour."
And then the crowd hears a voice from heaven, right? Some say it thundered, others say an angel spoke. But Jesus says, "This voice was for your sake, not mine."
He's drawing a line in the sand. He talks about the prince of this world being cast out. He says when he is lifted up, which is a double meaning for being crucified and being exalted, he will draw all people to himself.
But the crowd is confused. They say, "Wait, the law says the Messiah remains forever. How can you be lifted up and die?" They literally cannot compute a dying Messiah.
It doesn't fit their theology. They want a permanent political fixture. Jesus is offering a suffering servant. And because they can't reconcile it, they start to walk in darkness. Jesus gives them this haunting warning: "Walk while you have the light, lest darkness overtake you."
That connects back to the end of Mark 11 too, doesn't it? The religious leaders challenge his authority. They ask, "Who gave you the right to do this?" And Jesus traps them with a question about John the Baptist.
It's a brilliant maneuver. He asks if John's baptism was from heaven or from men. They are trapped because if they say heaven, they have to admit they disobeyed God. If they say men, the crowd will riot because they loved John. So they say, "We don't know."
They chose political safety over truth. They chose the darkness.
Exactly. And that is the tragedy of these chapters. You have people seeing miracles. Lazarus is walking around alive. And yet they refuse to believe because they love the praise of men more than the praise of God. John 12 ends with Jesus crying out, almost pleading, that he didn't come to judge the world, but to save it. But the words he spoke will judge them if they reject him.
It's heavy. You have the perfume of burial, the withered tree of empty religion, and the grain of wheat falling into the earth. It feels like everything is being stripped away to reveal what really matters.
That's the perfect way to put it. We are stripping away the leaves to see if there is fruit. We are stripping away the self-preservation to see if there is sacrifice.
So as we wrap up this 10 minutes, what is the one thing that sticks with you from these two chapters?
For me, it's the image of the grain of wheat. We spend so much energy trying to remain. We want to remain young, remain relevant, remain in power. But Jesus says the only way to be fruitful is to let go, to fall into the ground. It asks us a hard question. What are we holding on to so tightly that it's keeping us from bearing fruit?
That's a powerful thought. Are we building a temple with lots of leaves but no prayer? Are we cheering for a king only when he does what we want? Or will we follow him when he gets on the donkey to ride toward death?
The light is with us for a little while longer. The question is, will we trust it before the sun goes down?
A profound place to stop. We're standing at the edge of the Passion Week. The stakes couldn't be higher. Thanks for joining us for day 307.
See you next time. If you have been blessed by this, please like, subscribe, and share this joy with others. God bless.